just to explain a little bit of backstory. Hi, all. This is Daisy Cakes. I did want to. Y'all, I had to retape this like 3 or 4 times, and you're going to hear the stalker say unfair when I start talking, which is just so scary and crazy. It gave me goosebumps and made me just want to like call the police right away. But I mean, I don't even know what to do about this. She will not get off my devices or my modem or my router, and I have reset everything so many times, and I have her MAC address, and it just seems like she thinks everything is like a conference call when I am not beholden to anyone, and I pay my rent and I live my life. So I pay my rent on the 5th every month, but I live my life. So anyway, just understand that this is a little bit of a stressful day for Daisy, but everything's going great. Okay, nothing really bad is happening. It's just this one woman being a little insane, and it might be M or her daughter or some other defender of C and S. So just be aware. Hi, all. This is Daisy Cakes. I did want to. This is felony, not anything else. But I did want to say that just to explain a little bit of backstory. My daughter did go to Texas State, and she did. This woman that. Okay, the guy that lives kitty corner across the street from me. One of his relatives is married to this one I went to high school with. Her name is Kim B. And I actually, that's her last initial, not her name. And we worked not closely together. We were kind of associates of each other. Like I knew who she was, she knew who I was. We weren't in any classes together or anything like that, but we knew each other. I went to Judson High School. That's like a small town. There was 4,000 people in my high school. It was only 3 grades. So, but everybody still kind of knew most of everybody, and we all kind of got along really well. I would say it was a really great place to go to school. A lot of special people came out of that, and I thought it was wonderful. So my daughter, when she went to Texas State, I didn't have any trouble telling her she's going to do color guard. I was like, go work with this woman. She's really good, and she did. I was still living here at that time because my daughter had come up here to college, both of them, and I came up here to move because I like the city, and I really wanted to see them in all their concerts and activities and football games, and it was something every week or twice a week, and I just didn't have the money to drive back and forth that much. All the family members were visiting up here anyway, and so it just seemed like the right thing to do. So I enjoyed my time here, and while I was here, my one daughter moved back to Texas State because they have a better law enforcement program, and she decided to go there, and she did color guard there, and that woman does color guard. I was like, hey, go talk to her. She's nice, and she enjoyed herself, but then she decided that school was more important, and she went on to focus on more law enforcement things, and she went back to taking up shooting, which is really important to her, and she's a very good shot, my daughter. And I also had to take lessons in that as well, but only in case I found one in my home, because it was highly likely that once my daughter turned 16, she would have a gun in her car, even though I didn't want her to. But I mean, you can't really tell kids what to do, and as far as their own personal safety, they have to do whatever they think is best. But anyway, I'm not into guns. I'm not a gun person. I just wanted to mention all those things so you'd understand that my original plan was to have my daughters live at my house and go to Texas State, and when that didn't work out, that stayed the plan kind of for them. My daughter had an apartment in the area for a long time. She didn't really leave the Central Texas area until she married and her husband got into the Army band and became a school teacher in Houston, and then moved to Japan when he was stationed there. And they had a baby. Other daughter moved to upstate New York when she graduated from here, SFA. And that's another thing. They thought I would leave them, and I didn't leave because I actually like it here. And so these men, they're very controlling towards women, and they tend to assume that women are going to do certain things, and when they don't do those things, they tend to get extremely angry with them. And I don't understand that because that's a process that happens outside my experience. And so all of a sudden, everything's fine, and the next day, everything's not. And it seems very volatile right now. But just because I got attacked, I think some of that's just getting attacked makes you realize that someone out there is thinking about you when you're not thinking about them, and that seems really scary. So I just want you to know I have no problem with any of these people, except for the ones here that have been stalking me. But I don't really worry about them. I keep to myself, and I work on my own stuff. I pay my rent. I have a lease that lasts until the end of next September. I'm not looking to break it in any way, shape, or form. I can afford it. I think it's a reasonable apartment, and in this day and age, it's very hard to find these things. So anyway, but they are being really weird and limiting who comes to the apartment. This guy is kind of on a power trip, and he's trying to limit who I talk to. He wants to be on my modem. It's who I'm dealing with. He's got like all these other things going on. I have much proof of that. And now he's starting to send. This woman has taken notice in the and she started to make her daughters be my delivery people, and I don't want that either. And it's all very kind of confining feeling. I don't have anything to do with human slavery. I've never, but I actually had to ask my brother if he sold me into human slavery at some point, like in a mock sense. Because to this guy, when I lived, because he was kind of friends with my next door neighbor and the guy across the street. And so I asked him, I was like, did you give them the impression that I was a white slavery person or that I was, someone's prostitute or anything? And he said no, and I had to ask my husband that too. I was like, did you guys give the impression that I'm not my own person? I don't have autonomy and that I can't work wherever I want or do whatever I want in my life, that I can't talk to people or have people over. Right now, for some reason, it starts changing. My audio is still there, but the stalker starts pressing buttons and doing all kinds of weird things. I guess this is against them, so I'm going to go ahead and put this graphic back up and keep talking. So, basically, my ex-husband, I should specify. Let me make sure that this is recording me. I'm not sure it's recording me right now, but it might be. We'll see. But anyway, so my ex-husband, I asked him, are you sure that you did not tell anyone at any time anything from my old town or this town, next door neighbors, cross street neighbors, people in the town, anybody, that I was a prostitute, that I did things for money, that I was not my own person, that I needed to have a pimp, that I was like beholden to a man, that I was not my own person, that I couldn't work in this town in Nacogdoches anywhere I wanted, or do anything I wanted, or say anything I wanted to anyone. Because it was really weird, y'all. My groceries started being limited. My grocery would like pass my door and go down to a different apartment, a certain numbered apartment, 209, I think, and they would like go through them, and then I would get them, and sometimes they would take out what they wanted from that. And I told you already about all the maladjusted deliveries, and then where there would be like deliveries, and I would see the woman in the parking lot with her trunk open, and I would see this guy and a bunch of other guys go up to the trunk and start talking to her, and then she would just drive away. And DoorDash started being only like one or two people delivering my DoorDash. This woman, M, and her daughter started wanting to deliver all of my DoorDash meals, and I just am not down for that. I think it needs to be a variety of people coming to my door, the same it would be for anybody else. I don't deserve to be limited like that. There's not sections here or regions for DoorDash. Anybody can order from anywhere, and anyone can pick up an order. It's not like this is some kind of like, it's just weird. It's like I'm in prison or anything. And once I decided before people thought I was gay because I had changed my Facebook to man, because my brother was on my Facebook, and I have kids I used to teach that go on my Facebook, and I didn't want them to think that they were talking to me when actually they were talking to a man, because my brother was also very controlling, and he would change my Facebook passwords, and he would clone my phones and stuff, and so it was very upsetting. So then so when I moved here, they started having me only talk to gay people. Like, gay people would come to my door. No offense, I love gay people, but whatever. But they would only be the only ones. After a while, I was like, that's weird. And they would be in the parking lot and roaming around, and it would just be like very obvious that people were limiting people to certain kinds of people to a certain extent. And then, not only that, though that sounds a little nutty, but honestly, so I thought that was nutty, right? Well, then when I started identifying as black, all of a sudden all of the DoorDash drivers were black, and all of the Walmart drivers were black. And when I would call, like, that, it was just really nutty, you know. And I was like, that's crazy, right? So I started asking questions, and they told me that this guy is routing people, or before he was routing people for years around, and he was trying to determine like that I wouldn't be able to be employed here in Nacogdoches, and that I wouldn't be able, he was telling people bad things about me so that they wouldn't date me, and that had kind of been happening in my old town as well from the same family, because he's the father-in-law of the daughter of the woman that's married to the guy that lived kitty corner across the street from me that threw the dog under the car. And it's very upsetting. So, but I was just trying to understand the behavior, because I believe the key to behavior change is to understand the genesis of it. Like, where does it come from? And the only thing I can figure is the financial thing, because in 2018, or actually in 2020, that guy sold the house for $350,000. So that's quite a big investment. I mean, if I had been able to keep it, that would have been great. But I wasn't mad because I've had a lot of fun since then. I didn't really worry about it too much, and I don't really feel like if I had a toy and I gave it to you, and that toy became worth like 4 times what I paid for it, then I wouldn't be upset with you, right? Even that woman with the purses, other people were upset for me. I was not upset. There was like a near riot, but I was not upset about it because they knew I was starving and feeding my kids like crackers and eggs and stuff, although I'd fed them fine. But I mean, I didn't get to eat. I had to look at a pan of food and divide it in half and take a spoonful of it for myself from each side, and then they have the rest of it. Okay, that's the level I was living on at that time. And they were living fine. My kids were great. They were very high succeeding in high school, but I was starving and dying of poverty right in front of them. And this woman is, making money hand over fist on me. And the same thing is happening here with these people, because I don't have anything and they're trying to take like 3/4 of what I have. And whenever I have an asset, it gets broken. And it's very odd. Like if I sell things on Craigslist, he blacklisted me on Craigslist so that people can't respond to my things. When I didn't do anything, I was selling a TV on Craigslist, and it was fine when I plugged it in to check it. Then when she came to pick it up, it had like a big magnet spot right in the middle of it. And so I offered her money back, but she said, no, thank you. That's the only thing I can think of that went wrong. But all the other things were fine, and yet Craigslist had me blacklisted by my email. So I called and I was like, please don't do that. And I have to keep doing that with these people because it's this one family, and everyone thinks that they have a reason. But it's actually their coding that's causing the trouble, not my coding. This is how people should be treating them, not me. And instead, they're treating me this way, and I'm just me. I'm just a person. And I'm trying to, stand up for women, because I could end up face up in a field somewhere, outside of town if this keeps up, because these people want things to remain a certain way, and life just isn't like that, y'all. It's sad. I was here in 2015. I lived here. I was homeless for about 10 months because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do as far as the girls were concerned. And they were going to school, and I was going to all their stuff, and I was working full time. I was working in a restaurant, and they were very nice to me, and I had a good situation for being a homeless person. And so I wasn't that worried about it at the time, although I was trying to rectify it and save money up. And I did manage to save like $5,000, and I was getting ready to change my situation when something else happened. But so I was kind of not really paying attention to this apartment complex so much. It wasn't a very good one back then. And when I moved back here, my daughter found this apartment for me. I didn't even have anything to do with it. So, and they weren't here at that time. I rented from a totally different bunch of people. There's a guy named Jeff and a woman that was here that left like 3 weeks after I got here. And then like a month after that, Michaela came, M came, and then C was here like the week after, and his daughter was always hanging around talking to M. And that was when I realized that they were related, but I didn't think anything about it because I never noticed those people living kitty corner across the street from me. I went to school with 4,000 people. Okay, when I go to HEB, I see like half of the people from my high school there every single time. It's never a problem. Like, I don't have a problem with people from my high school. So even if I knew that guy from across the street was kind of vaguely related to those people, I didn't really even think about it because I didn't like him. I didn't like how he acted, and I knew that, and he, tortured my daughter visually, and did many other things that were suspects, and I didn't really think about it so much. So it didn't really occur to me that it would necessarily be a problem until he started being super controlling. I would see him following me around town. I would notice that he was on my modem or router in 2020 when I first got my modem or router, and it just became like a thing for him to pay attention to me, but I have never paid attention to him. I actually made a point of not talking to him for a significant amount of time because I had a bad feeling and I was trying to be professional, especially when I worked here. And I felt like that went, fairly well. But he's done things like kick in my door, and he's just done a lot of stuff. It's kind of odd, but I'm not really sure where that comes from. He might have mental illness, he might have other issues, but I have not interacted with him in any way that would cause him to react this way to me. I have not caused him to limit this place in any fashion. I don't have any coding that requires limiting this to no kids or no college students or no people or nothing. Anyone can live here next to me. I don't have anything that requires people to be careful around me. I am, and I don't understand why he's significantly stalking me to this extent. So I just wanted to say that because the guy who lives across the street from me and the guy who lives next door to me used to be best friends, and so the fact that they both live here now is kind of significant, and the fact that one of them attacked me is also kind of significant. So, and as I said, my brother had something to do with them. They may have had something to do with my daughter's recent difficulties in the area, but they didn't. But my daughters don't live anywhere near here now, and they're doing really well. And I'm wishing them the best. They both have children. They're both happy moms and wives. And other than that, I don't know what it would be. But they seem to want to be involved in my things. So, and the fact that that clone phone used to say Nagadoches and now doesn't makes me really nervous because it could have gone to my brother. It could have gone to this guy that used to live across the street from me, a guy that used to live next door to me. And that has everything. Everybody I call, everything I have, everything I do on my phone shows up on that other phone. And I can't stop. I can't get rid of it because I just bought it. And if I change the SIM card, then I'll lose data that I need to be happy. And I shouldn't have to change my stuff. I've already changed so many things. This was a brand new phone number and phone that I got. And remember, they already ported my number to their phones that I changed in 2023 when my mom died in March. So someone in this apartment complex has my ported phone number, my actual phone number that I had for years since 2017. So, I mean, it's like serious stalking. I am not joking, y'all. This is literally what stalking is. And I don't want stalking. I've never desired it. I've never sought after it. I've always known that someone was limiting me, but I could never understand why. And I still do not understand why or who or what these people think is their mandate. They say to people that they're police officers or in law enforcement, but they are not. They sort of function in a related capacity. But I have never, ever been on probation or had any kind of extended thing. I had deferred adjudication for one infraction, and that passed without incident. And there's nothing really ever that's been on my record that would be significant or cause anyone to have trouble, except for the things that these people had to do with that they made worse. I had a U-Haul truck drive up. I drove up here in a U-Haul truck, and I parked it here overnight while I was sleeping. Someone took everything out of it, put it in another U-Haul truck, took the good stuff out of it, put it all back in my U-Haul truck. So when I woke up and drove it to storage, it was a different truck that had to do with this guy. And I mean, there's been a lot of things. And my stuff from that truck has shown up in this mock apartment that's downstairs or somewhere that's rented to these people nearby me right now, today. And that's my stuff, y'all. And I'm not going looking for it because I know, I want everybody to have life, liberty, and happiness. But I'm saying that there's something seriously wrong here. And that if someone doesn't do something about it, these people could continue to infringe inside my apartment on my daily way of life and my electronic security and the way that I operate around the community and things like that. I needed to get a scooter, and I sent off a money order to get a scooter. It was picked up here before it even left the apartment campus. It did not get dropped by anybody, but the post office guy went and handed it to the post office person, and it was lost and never got there. And I'm waiting to get the money back until all this calms down, because I don't really want to have to deal with driving around town on. I love scooters, but I don't want to drive around town on a motorcycle without having while having these people stalking me. It would be unsafe for them to have to follow me. It would be unsafe for me to not understand why they're upset with me before I undertake such an enterprise. And so that's been a big, huge hassle for me, because I was supposed to start working. I can't work without transportation. And so I've undertaken this YouTube channel to try to, in the meantime, kind of disaggregate the data and sort of look at what's going on and why. Because one thing that we know is it has to be connected, because the apartment, remember, they have all my stuff, which is something that you could explain, because the ages of the people are similar to the ages of my daughters, and this man has children that are the same age as my daughters, that are kind of tertiarily involved in all this. And but you can't explain it being in the same place in the apartments. It's a mirror apartment to mine. The table's in the same place, the stuff is in the same place, the bed is in the same place, and it's just the desk is in the same area. They've partitioned off their apartment, like I said, for a little skin dress layer thing, and they also have another section of their lives for that. I mean, a section of the apartment for that. But they have also a section off for kids, like in an RV or something. But there is a significant amount of copying going on in my life, although that has changed a lot in the last few weeks. But for some reason, I'm still getting their videos on my clone phone, which I bought on September 12th and was fine until September 16th, when it started showing up as two phones with the same IMEI address. Soon after that, and there was a guy that was related to the, it's a long story. There's a guy that's related to my ex-husband's ex-girlfriend, I think, or my current girlfriend. She's a doctor in New Braunfels, and she knows a guy that does orthopedic surgery, and he has relatives. Some of them are tennis coaches at the high school my kids went. Some of them are involved in some kind of like unsavory businesses, and one of them also lives here at the apartment complex. And he hassled me when I went to get an iPhone, and he hassled me when I went to get an iPhone in 2017, and he hassled me so much I had to leave, y'all. And then I went back to get one. My daughter gave me one in 2020, so I went 2021. So I went to get the iPhone hooked up, and he hassled me so much that he asked me to leave it with him for a week. So I left it with him for a week, and then I went back to get it, and it never worked. It had bad coding on it from somebody, I don't know who. So then I disconnected it, and I still have it. It's never been connected since then. And I wish I could use it, but I just haven't been able to use it because of all this coding stuff that I don't have myself, but the other people have. So then I got this new phone, and he shows up at my door, y'all, on the 15th of September. And he is delivering my DoorDash, which the other guy dispatched to him in the parking lot, I guess. And he said, do you have a new phone number? He said, this is DoorDash. Do you have a new phone number? And I said, why do you ask? And he's like, well, I have to know to give you your food. And then I was stuck, because I was like, well, I mean, this is crazy, but yes, I do have a new phone number. And he's like, is this the phone number? And he showed me the DoorDash thing that had my phone number on it, DoorDash. That is crazy. And so he showed me the phone number, and I was like, I don't really want to tell you this, but yes, that is my phone number. And the next day, my phone number was ported to a new number. My phone number was cloned. And he could be the guy that has my old phone number. I don't know. But he lives here. So they're all connected. I don't know if they're all connected to each other, but they're all connected to this guy. And they're all kind of sketchy in a way. The orthopedic surgeon guy, I know him. He works right next to the running shop where we used to run every Saturday. I've seen him a billion times. I know him by sight. The tennis coach, I know him by sight because I used to see him all the time. And my friend's husband, I know him. There's like motorcycle cops. It's like a big bunch of family with a lot of neat kids in it, let's say. I bet they had fun growing up as cousins or whatever when they were younger. But this is like, seriously, y'all, it's getting to be oppressive for me. And no matter what I should do, they should not be doing that. Those different people doing those different actions just shouldn't be happening because I'm a female and I'm single and I'm, middle aged. I know how that sounded, but I still think that life should be more free than that for me. I shouldn't have these limitations about things. I used to see the guy I worked for, he would go business to business to business to business, telling people that I was part black, that I used to work for him, that I was looking for somebody. And they thought he meant a pimp. And so all the pimps came out in the town and started making themselves known to me, not in an unpleasant way, but still an uncomfortable way for me because I've never had anything to do with that business. So I was really upset. And I mean, this has been happening for years. And I thought I would finally just try to articulate it for you so you would understand that this is actually real and happening. And yet, um, that I'm a person that does not like to be limited. I like to talk to many, many people. And for the first few years I lived here, I didn't have a problem until A, the guy sold his house for 3 times as much as it was worth, and B, my daughters graduated and moved away and I didn't. So, like I said, men think that women should do things in a certain way, and when they don't, they get angry and sometimes they act out, but that's illegal to do. Okay? It's illegal to be on my modem. I had to fight to get a new modem. I had to literally like argue with people to get it away from this guy because um, of the coding thing. These guys that have the bad coding, and I know a lot of really good people that have bad coding. So, but those guys that have bad coding, they do not want it back. Okay, and they want your coding. They think they deserve it. They think they should have it. They're angry that life has dealt them this, and they want what you have. They want your money. They want your identity. They want your coding, and they don't want no for an answer. And those guys are scary, and there's some of those guys here now. So just understand that life is interesting. I'm going to keep showing you my apps every once in a while so you can see, and you can tell me if you think it's coding or just bad malware or something. But anyway, y'all take care and have a great day, and just understand that Daisy's okay today so far, and everything's going fine today, this Monday. And I wish y'all the best. But I wanted to give you some backstory because I'm sorry I sound irritated, but it is a little irritating. This I could hardly help but be irritated. I don't like to be limited to just one class of people at a time, depending on what people think I think when they're not even talking to me because I choose not to talk to them in any way, shape, or form. And I have ever since I moved here because I kind of had a bad feeling. Although I must say that many people love these people and think that they're great, but they don't have the same experiences with them that I do. So this is kind of sexual harassment. It's very upsetting. And I'm sad to say that there's all kinds of different types of populations involved in this. And like I said, I have an amazing ability to send people to recovery on meeting me, especially criminals. I have a great reformative way with the criminal mind, evidently, because everybody that's ever done anything bad to me has hightailed it into recovery once they got to know me, which is so funny. But recovery shouldn't be used as an excuse, people, and it does not excuse people from going to prison. There's lots of prisoners in recovery, so, I mean, being a special population doesn't excuse you from going to prison. Being old doesn't excuse you from going to prison. Having different mental problems doesn't excuse you from going to prison. And being in recovery or having addiction doesn't excuse you from going to prison. This is deliberate acts over many years, and it needs to stop. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate you, and I'll talk to you later. Hopefully we can get back to the podcast and talk to you about fun things.